when I was going through my separation and I was really lost. I had no idea what direction to go, and I'd heard a couple other people going through divorces working with her. So I kind of felt like, I trusted those people's opinions. So I thought, well, this is a good route to go. It seemed like a positive kind of spin on traditional therapy. I feel like the therapy piece is like when you're going through transition or some, seemingly catastrophic event. It's great because it really helps you put those things in the past in a box. Like you can seal it up and say, okay, I understand this is why this happened. I don't want it to happen again. But then you go into like the positive, like being here and now, and like, okay, what does that actually mean? Yeah. Those things are still coming back. Like, how do I change it? And a lot of people, I feel, go back to therapy. And for me, I knew that therapy wasn't the answer to moving forward in the future and being in the present in a positive and powerful way. Coaching, for me, was just moving forward. It was a big piece of moving forward, just getting to know who I am. And that piece, therapy doesn't help you with. I think therapy is extremely helpful when you're going through a divorce, but it doesn't solve all the problems if you want to really make big changes in your life, because action produces results, and therapy is not really big on the action piece. And the coaching, like getting from A to B, there's a roadmap, and so we've worked on getting to there. I'm not at B yet, I'm almost there. I feel like good about it, but I've gotten a lot of confidence. I think in life people just give unsolicited advice. And that's what we have. Like, we have all these pieces, like people's opinions and judgments and all of this swirling around us. And it's so hard sometimes to hear your own voice, especially when you're going through something like that. And really, in my divorce, we were together for 10 years, and I lost that piece of myself that said, this is right, this is wrong. Like, I lost that core, part of myself. So I think it's natural when you're going through something like that, when you're going through a separation, you're so confused, to look outside of yourself, when really that's the opposite of what you need to be doing. You need to be quiet and still and asking yourself the questions. The questions are the most important sometimes. I had to sit with some of the questions for a long time, before I found my answer. Because I could come up with 10 answers from, 10 different people, but then I'm living their prescription for my happy life, and that's not my idea of what's right for me. Being in the middle of the center of the vortex and the craziness of life, surrounding me, and I would try to jump out and I'd be thrown back in. But really, getting okay with sitting there and saying, what is this about? What's next for me? What is coming out of me? I really learned how to change my perspective on things. Things that I used to see as problems or challenges or, the end of the world. I never thought of myself as a really a negative thinker. And there were so many things that were so natural, that they just were part of my upbringing or part of my own stories that I made up. Or I would literally hear other people's saying certain things, especially my ex-husband, and I took that on as my own, and I never realized that that's not my opinion. That's not my thought, so I took it all out. And in sitting in that quiet space, I was able to hear my voice and decipher what was my mother, what was my ex-husband, what was, my, photography professor, my first year of college or something, and what is Rachel's voice, what is coming from here. I knew I had to do something for myself. And that's, it was so hard as a mother. You always want to do for your kids. And coming out of a marriage, and I was a stay-at-home mom, So all of my life was about my husband and my children. And it's so counterintuitive for me to focus on myself, but I had to, and I knew that. I knew that I needed to get myself really solid and whole and complete to be the best mom that I can be. And it didn't always look the way that it should have looked, especially to my ex-husband, because I was making a lot of changes. It was moving completely out of what he knew me to be, to be the mother that I needed to be for my kids, to be the person that I need to be for myself. So we have insurance for therapy, and I feel like I probably got more out of 10 sessions with Susan than I got out of maybe a year of therapy, as far as productivity and really moving forward and getting what I wanted out of that year. I feel like it was a huge return on my investment. I really feel like it was a minimal financial investment in comparison to everything that I was dealing with, and the reward was huge. I allowed myself to just explore my, untapped potential, I guess, my dreams and things that I always felt so silly talking about. There was no judgment, and I felt like if they're in me, if there are these desires and drives and things in me, I do feel like, God makes us all individual, and they're put there for a reason. And there's so many people that don't listen to that. They don't listen to their voice. But when you go to those things, whether that's what you're supposed to do or not, it leads you to something else. When Susan and I started working together, it was like an action plan. We had goals, and it was just positive. It was really like such a good and positive experience that it made working on the divorce or the separation not work.